Welcome to Stargate SG-1 for the first time. Still not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the first time.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the 47th time. But for the very first time, I am looking for those Stargate messages. What is it Stargate is trying to teach us? Is it giving us hope that things are going to be better in the future? Is it holding up a mirror to society? Or is it just teaching us how we can be better human beings to one another?
Brent, this week we're watching the 6th episode, the 3rd season, Point of View. Last week I predicted that this is going to be an episode where we see everything happen from the point of view of the Goa'uld. So we'll get some insight into their culture and how they work. Over here on the side, SG-1 will be doing some SG-1 thing, but we'll be on the Goa'uld's point of view for the whole thing. I'm excited to see if that's what it is. That'd be awesome if that's what it is. But why don't you tell us some details about point of view?
Well, Jeff, you are a good guesser.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Today's episode is the 6th episode of Season 3, Point of View. Original air date, July 30th, 1999. Written by show creators John Glasner and Brad Wright. Directed by Peter DeLuise. Jeff, this is the creme de la creme. This is the A-team of Stargate. Reminder, Peter DeLuise likes to put himself in his shows with cameos, very Alfred Hitchcock-esque. Or what's that dude's name? M. Night Shyamalan?
Shamalama ding dong.
Anyway, so we'll be on the lookout for him. I'll try to point him out if I see him for you. But with that, Jeff, it's time to get into this episode, buddy.
Like right now?
Like right now.
I love it. Let's do it.
Like right now. All right. Hey, listen, if you guys are joining us for the very first time, first of all, welcome. You're awesome. You're amazing. We love that you're here. The way this works is Jeff and I are going to go watch this episode like now, right now. We're going to watch it together. If you're hanging out with us on YouTube, stick around. You're going to catch the reaction. We'll do the reaction. We're going to record ourselves watching it, and they'll do the whole reaction thing. If you want to see the full unedited version of that, though, head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Bye Nerds.
If you're listening to this on a podcasting app, you're about to gate into the future where you're going to hear Brent and myself do the podcast thing, right? Where I share my first time reactions. Brent shares the sci-fi messages, and you get to hear all of our analysis about this thing. So Brent, let's do it. Let's start Point of View.
Chevron 7 locked.
All right, Jeff, we've just watched this episode for the very first time. Talk to us about it. What is your point of view on Point of View?
I was really into this episode, really into it, where we had like an alternate universe. Alt Pophis and alternate Tilk had goatees. That makes this a mirror universe episode. And I was in it. It was fun. It was interesting. And then it ended. And Brent, the way it ended just kind of totally took me out of this whole thing.
And that you specifically are talking about the kiss, as we witnessed, or those of us who watched the video part with you witnessed.
The kiss, right?
You were with it up until the kiss.
Yeah.
I am telling you right now, you have just turned 90% of the Stargate fans against you.
What?
How dare you? How dare you say anything against a rare, beloved Jack and Sam moment where they actually get to show some affection towards each other?
It was wildly inappropriate. Like, that was not okay. So in the alternate, I'm going into it. I'm going into that.
They're both consenting adults. Why?
Because they were consenting to something that they weren't consenting to the same things. Jack was consenting, I believe, to try to comfort this person who just did amazing work, was very brave, and lost her husband. Like, he was trying to show compassion. Alt Sam wanted her husband back, and that's not okay. I think that Jack choosing to express his compassion through a kiss was taking advantage of a grieving woman. Like, 3 days. Alt Jack died 3 days ago. She watched him die. She's broken. The first thing she does when she has a moment of privacy is take out a little, 3x5, whatever, 5x7. I don't even know how you measure pictures, but the old school, picture thing you get developed of their family. They had a kid together. There's Jack and Sam, and they're so happy. And she is so busted up inside. She's crying the whole time she's in there. Jack knows this. He walks in on her and talks to her as she's crying. They talk about it. They have a moment. And it was the moment they had was beautiful, right? He was totally appropriate, where like, he's like, okay, so this is how things were. I get it. All right, fine. And then he ran into Prime Sam. He's like, yeah, she's good. Also, how are you? Like, it was just awesome. He was taking care of everybody. But that moment when he kissed her, I think he was completely taking advantage of her.
I completely disagree.
How?
I completely disagree. The way I saw that, the way I interpreted that is, Jeff, how do you feel about Janeway and Chakotay?
That they're great coworkers and friends, and that's all they should ever be. There's no ship there. There's no romance relationship.
Sometimes you disappoint me, Jeff. Did you miss the entirety of the episode resolutions? And then any time that they were in a conversation privately together past that point,
and everyone reads in the tension that's not actually there.
It is actually there.
No.
How did you feel about Picard and Crusher?
Yeah, that was honestly, don't like it. I liked it before when it was teased and there was tension around it, but then in Picard where they made it pay off, it's like, oh, no.
Did they make it pay off in Picard?
Maybe what we're learning about Jeff is that he's not, I'm not into relationships on TV.
Jeff, anyone who's been around Babylon 5 for the first time for any amount of time since like season 1 of Babylon 5 ought to be familiar with that particular concept by now.
It's true. It's true.
That's not a dig at you. That's
how I see it.
Yes.
There doesn't have to be a romantic relationship between a man and a woman for them to like have a connection. And I think that boiling it down to that, as TV still does, just completely neuters the idea of like professional relationships, platonic relationships. It artificially creates sexual tension where there isn't any in real life for people because they feel like there should be some, when I can just be cool with someone who's another gender than I am. It can be fine. Or the same gender as me. Like, I can just be cool with people. I'm up with people.
Jeff, buddy, let me ask you a question. Here's a question for you. In high school, I'm not talking about adult Jeff. I'm talking about high school Jeff.
It's going back a little bit.
All right. Were you a geek?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No,
I was such a geek that I was a metalhead and a geek.
You were a metalhead. You were cool. You were whatever. All right. You were in band playing drums. You cannot be a geek playing drums unless you're playing kettle drums. And even then, that's still pretty badass.
That's still like you're cool. You're lower end of cool, but you're still there.
But you're still cool. Okay, Jeff. You got to understand, for the guys writing these episodes, they got friend zoned so much that they're writing out their friends, like they're writing out their unrequited, interest into these characters.
Just because the guys who played clarinet and marching band are writing this doesn't make it okay to do. Like, I don't know. I just maybe I'm too far on this thing, but I don't think so. I feel really strongly about this. I think that forcing romantic relationships in professional environments like this just sets unrealistic expectations for everybody. This isn't me being like, oh, taking advantage of women or anything or misogynistic, whatever. I just think it sets up an unrealistic expectation between people.
I can agree that it certainly reinforces this idea that sexual intention does exist or can exist in places where it really ought not. Or rather, I take that back, that just being friends or just being coworkers, like keeping everything really on that professional level, just doesn't happen between your leads, between the two leading people in your story right now. Like, and for everybody, they're their leading person in their story, plus whomever that other person is. So I would agree with that. But in this particular case, this to me was this was like Samantha had a chance to now say goodbye and have, kiss her husband goodbye and all of that stuff and have a chance for that grieving process for a little bit of extra closure that she didn't get with the other guy. And Jack helped provide that. Also, I do think that there was a bit of looking at it on the other side, because I will tell you this right now. And Jeff, that Stargate has the same rule that Voyager thankfully had, that TNG thankfully had. You cannot have a relationship between a commanding officer and a subordinate.
Fraternization, right?
It It is a taboo that only ever gets toyed with in these kinds of settings.
Yeah.
They really walk that line pretty good. So to be able to allow Jack to acknowledge that there may or may not be some feelings there and to explore that for 10 seconds, also while helping other alternate Sam grieve a little bit and have her last goodbye. Like, it works for me. It may not work for Jeff, but we have now officially spent like 8 minutes talking about a 10-second part of the episode.
You know what, though? But this is the thing, and I don't mean this in a detrimental way to the episode. This is kind of the thing of the episode, right? Like, I feel like this was a cool sci-fi idea. It let us see, the goatee on Alt Pophis and see General Hammond get Zach gunned and some cool things. We got to see Kowalski. Like, I love Kowalski. That's super cool.
Yep.
Also, I think the point of this episode, the point was to entertain, right? This is what it is. Here's a cool sci-fi story. But I think that the underlying sort of theme is that the Major Sam, who we know, Prime Sam, had an opportunity to see a version of herself as she had made different life choices. Also, we got to explore the unexplored romantic tension between them with like this surrogate, so let's take the same person, make her different, and then we can have these little hints and these things that there's this tension and people like that. So we've spent a lot of time on it, but I think that's the point of the episode.
You know what? If I would have liked this episode better, I think, had it actually explored Prime Sam. And this is where I think Michael Pillar's words are so prescient, and they did follow it in this episode of Stargate, is the episodes have to be about our main characters, have to be about our bridge crew, not those out there. This show was about alternate Sam and exploring her feelings and what's going on with her and seeing this piece through that. We barely saw Prime Sam.
Prepare for incoming Gold Channel communication.
Before we gate into the rest of this episode, did you know you're missing most of the content from this podcast? Stargate SG-1 for the first time has an active and exciting Patreon that you can join right now by clicking the link in the show notes. Not only will you get access to the full, unedited podcast and reaction videos, you'll also be able to join a growing, vibrant, maybe even an intergalactic community. Subscribers even get access to all of our content from Babylon 5 for the first time. Don't miss out on this content and the amazing people. Just click the link in the show notes. Tilk thinks you should do it right now.
Indeed.
Exactly. And when we did, for the most part, she was arguing with Alt Sam until the moment they were working on the generator and like everything clicked, which is cool. I would agree.
I'm sorry. This could have been an episode. I would have liked this episode better, I think, had it been Prime Sam exploring aspects of her personality that she didn't know that she had through Alt Sam. They should have been a lot more Prime and Alt Sam throughout the course of this episode, really nailing that in. Or even, see, it's not even Jack. I like what you said. She's exploring other aspects of herself that can't be explored in her normal situation.
Yeah, I think, early on in the episode, the Dr. Carter said, oh my gosh, can't imagine joining the military. And Major Carter said, I can't imagine not, which tells me Jacob is a very different person in this alternate universe, right? So,
good call. Yeah.
So what's that? And how did that familial relation? So to your point, like that would have been a cool story.
Yeah.
I will look at it a little bit differently. And I think that on surface, this was about Alt Sam, but I almost think, and again, I'm going back to the kiss, but I think that made this about Jack. When Jack, we got awesome Jack through most of this episode, like listening to people do the techno babble stuff and him doing his awesome, like, come on, whatever. But when he goes in to comfort Alt Sam or just to check in on her and let her know that they get to stay, we saw some stuff in him we hadn't ever seen before. We saw him try to have some empathy, right? And like when he realized like, oh, I just, like she's really upset, I got to be here for her and create some space. And then he saw the picture, and we got to kind of explore, like, he was confused by it, but he wasn't opposed to it. And we kind of saw his relationship with Alt Sam changed at that moment. He became protective of her in a way, defended her. And so I think what it showed, we've seen and explored Jack as a dad, as someone who's awesome around kids. I think this was an opportunity for us at a not as deep as we maybe should have, but gave us an opportunity to see Jack as a romantic partner, or as an intimate partner, someone who cares about someone. I think that him doing that kiss was inappropriate with it, but it lines up with that story. Like if that's the story of this, of course he kissed her, because that's him expressing this feeling that he never can, and her trying to get closure with the whole thing. Although in the closure piece, like, I don't know, this might be a stupid example, but like, let's say that my wife dies and I'm broken up about it, and I didn't get to say goodbye or have closure. So I go have a real doll made of her, and like I make out with that so I can get some closure. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
What's different about this? It's not Jack, her Jack. It's just some dude who's biologically the same person, but isn't the same person. I'm going to get off that hook, that whole thing, because I'll go on and on. I had a couple other notes on this one, but nothing of consequence. There was one piece that was weird. General Hammond, Prime Hammond, had like this real aversion to the idea of these alt people, Alt Kowalski and Alt Sam being around. They never explored that. It was just weird.
Didn't you think that they were going to turn out to be bad? Yeah.
And he had like a feeling, like, something, and he's like, I don't know, something's fishy. And then they do a thing, but nothing ever came of that. And it was a little weird. We got the Asgard who showed up, and we talked about during the episode, they are the Deus Ex Machina. They showed up. The Gould who inhabited Earth were apparently all at SGA, and they left. But yeah, I've got pretty mixed feelings on this one. I think while you're talking about your next piece, I'm gonna chew on this a little bit, and let's talk about that next piece. Brent, did you find any sci-fi messages in this one?
Chew quickly, Jeff, because I don't have a whole lot in this one, man. I really don't. I feel like I could pull certain things from it, things that stand out to me. Kowalski walks into a room and flips out that Teal'c is sitting there. It's like, "Well, what are you doing, you asshole?" Like, dude, this is not your spot,
not your time, not your place.
I could pull that out. You say you use that'd be solved with a briefing. Hey, heads up, this might freak you out. Let's be aware.
That person you said led the attack on the mountain? Yeah, he's in there and he's cool.
Yeah, but he didn't lead an attack on our mountain. In fact, he's helped defend it a few times. So, Jack being a really good commander and showing compassion for her while also showing compassion for his own Sam, I mean, maybe you go there with that. There just wasn't there. This was hey, let's have an episode. Let's pull that episode back out. If this happened to be the same people that we saw from the last Mirror episode from there, and we were catching up with their story, maybe, but this was it was somebody else altogether that we sent back. Hammond said, we're going to bust up this mirror at the end. We're not going to be able to do this anymore. We killed Apophis again and freed some more people. I don't know, Jeff, I don't have much. And I feel like I'm wimping out on this one, but there's just not much in this one for me. I just don't see it there.
I'm with you.
If you got anything you want to stump for it, go for it. But I'm giving this one 0 chevrons.
I think it's totally fair. There were a couple, like you said, a couple moments where like, oh, maybe, nope. Hey, this one, nope, they didn't go there at all. No, this was a sci-fi episode.
Yeah. Episode of the week.
Decent. Yeah. Decent episode. Yeah. I mean, yeah, decent.
This is an episode that if I'm doing laundry and I'm flipping through the channels and I come across this episode, but oh yeah, it's this episode. I'm going to keep channel surfing and seeing what else is out there. And if nothing else is on, I would come back to this episode.
That's fair. That's pretty fair. Yeah.
That's Brent.
Why don't you ask me what I think about it?
I'm tired. Jeff, what'd you think about it? Have you chewed? Are you done on the cud?
I am done chewing.
All right. What you got?
So you rated it 0 chevrons.
Oh, that's right. You get to rank it. Oh my God.
Right? Yeah. Hey, I was trying to feed you.
Hey,
there.
Let's do the format of the show. Let's go. Hey, Jeff. So I get to rate it by, declaring 0 chevrons. However, my friend, you get to rank it based really much on just how much did you like the episode. Our current top 5, because that's all we have so far. Our current top 5 of season 3, a 100% completely accurate and completely definitive ranking of season 3 Stargate SG-1 includes number 1, Fair Game, number 2, Learning Curve, number 3, Into the Fire, 4, Legacy, 5, Seth. Jeff, where does this episode point of view go?
When I ranked Legacy or Learning Curve last week, it was Legacy 2 weeks ago. When I ranked that, I mentioned that putting it in the number 4 position wasn't a reflection on it as a bad episode. It was a reflection on the quality of season 3 so far. And that's going to be how I rank this one. This one is going to be in the top 5 at number 5, just above Seth. Again, not a bad episode. I'm with you. I'm not going to choose to watch this one ever, but I'm not going to choose not to. I'm not going to skip out of it. Still step up from Seth, which again, not a bad episode, just another one I'm not necessarily going to watch.
Jeff, I'm at a spot with Stargate where I've watched it so many times. I very rarely ever do a watch through anymore of the show. I pick and choose which episodes I want to watch.
And just hit those.
I think what you just said, like, I'm never going to choose this episode, but I'm never not going to choose this episode. I don't ever choose this episode. Like, I just gloss over it because I'm looking at the other episodes. Like, that's it.
Okay.
So, but you're right. It's not, I feel like I'm really crapping all over this episode. It's not bad. It's just, there are others that are better, a lot better. And we've got some of them coming up here in the next few weeks. So,
oh, cool. That's exciting.
Well, over the rest of the season, actually, this is a great season. The season overall.
So far, this has been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that being said, Jeff, we are going to officially be done with Point of View. Would you like to know where we're watching next?
I guess. Yeah. A little nervous.
Jeff. Oh, it's time for one of our favorite type of episodes. It's one of those that every sci-fi show does an iteration of.
I've had a couple of those and I've got them all wrong.
Title of this one is Dead Man's Switch. Jeff, you want to give us an idea of what Dead Man's Switch might be about?
What immediately comes to mind for me, and here's some recency bias in action, is the season 2 Babylon 5 episode Convictions. That was a season 2 episode. Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure. Where, dude had the little, I'm going to blow up the station thing. And it was his little dead man switch. So this is going to be like a hostage sort of situation. I'm going to say that the SG-1 crew they'll be taken hostage. And, there's an easy way out, but we can't take it because dude's got a dead man switch and we'll all get blowed up.
I believe that was a season 3 episode, Jeff.
It might've been. Yeah. I don't know. That's so bad. I'm the one who I should remember all those things.
You are the one who knows that.
It is a season 3 because it was Londo and Jakar in an elevator.
There you go. It's time to update our tracking sheet, Jeff. We did get one for crying out loud in today's episode.
And it was a unique for crying out loud.
It was, but we decided we're going to count it. That brings our total up to 17 for crying out loud so far.
Wow.
Yeah. That seems like a lot, but when you realize we've already had like 50 episodes.
Yeah, not quite half.
Not quite, but still enough to be like, they say that line a lot.
Totally a thing.
All right, Jeff. I guess with all that, that's going to put a bow on our episode here today. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Please join us next time here on Stargate SG-1 for the first time. Still not a Star Trek podcast. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you happen to get your podcast. Leave us a rating, a review. Please share this podcast with someone you know that loves Stargate or needs to get in the gate, just like my buddy Jeff right over there. So until next time, guys, thank you guys so much. We will get out of here. Yeah. Jeff, what's up?
You know those cool apps that they have nowadays where you can learn a language in like 3 weeks?
Duolingo. Got it.
That's one of them. Yeah. And Babbel and a bunch of others. It's a whole, I made my own. I just made one.
Oh, did you?
I'm really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't named it yet. It's something Gould, something, but it's an app where literally you can learn how to speak Gould in 4 seconds.
Really?
Cree Jaffa. That's it. That's the lesson.
Indeed.